swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common. Swinging. Very common.
Bada bing, bada boom. I blend in with the rest of the room. Damn. That worked. It worked out.
Again?
Well, I forgot the shirt because it's yellow-ish, greenish, so it like meshes with that. My
We have to get our other guy in here real quick. He's slacking.
Gregory?
Yeah, Gregory. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1.
Now recording.
What a voice, by the way, for that.
Right?
Now recording. Good job. Go ahead. You know what to do.
I get one for that?
We both do because we
okay.
both said it at the same time.
So hold on. I got to start Zencaster too. But
Oh yeah.
that's good. That's fine. It's fine. We're good. We're good.
I'll let you just dive right into the intro and then that way I can take off.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Off the Fair Pole episode. I don't know what episode we're on. I think we're on episode 6, season 3. Off the Fair Pole with myself, Terp 17, Mr. Derek Holland, and Mr. Van Dyer Maker. Before we get started, we do want to fill you in on one of our new rules that we now follow throughout our podcasts that started the last podcast. So you guys know, if you didn't listen last episode or you're new this time, you know we've always had the sound, which means that you said something that everyone finds funny or agrees with. Then we also have the doo-doo take sound. But now there's one more sound that debuted last week.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a running competition as to who gets the most of these, and so far Terps is winning with 1. And it's kind of funny that Dyer's not gotten one yet, because might be his favorite soundbite of all of them.
100%.
But here are the rules. You have to really earn the, and it can be disputed, and can become a. No, not that one.
Whoa! What was? Hold on! What was that?
That was a grenade.
That should
It bombed.
We have to
It
use
bombed.
that.
Oh, your take bombed. It's a.
I might get to debut that here in about 5 seconds when I get to go.
I mean, we gotta be careful in there because your take might just become, and then we just gotta get rid of all of it.
That's true. The grenade won't even last. I don't think I'll be that far. But
But before you start, real quick.
Oh yes, sir.
Over under half a for Dyer this podcast.
I'm
Over
gonna get
under half.
I have to give him. I think he's gonna get it because we do have to talk about UFC, and he does knock that out of the park because there's a lot. There's good fights. Yeah.
And the fake fight that turned out not to be as fake as people thought.
Yeah. So he has a chance to get 1. I don't
so I
think
said higher at 1.5. Make good odds then.
No, because he's still trying to get it because he could fuck it up. That's the thing. He could have like a great talk about the UFC and the fight, but he can still fumble the bag
and then just end up with just go from to just real quick.
I think he would get a ding. I'll give him a ding, but he would not.
Ding,
yeah, but he won't get the no.
Dyer, question for you here. Do you feel any pressure to get your first, or are you just gonna let it come as it comes?
I kind of do feel a little bit of pressure, to be quite honestly. I do feel a little bit of pressure. I feel like that guy that's like supposed to be good. He's starting the season out 0-for-20 though. Basically I feel like Framil Reyes. So, that's where I'm at right now.
So you had a slump buster, get you back on track.
It'd be really embarrassing because our editor likes to give us commentary sometimes when he edits these. It would be really embarrassing if Gnome got a before you.
He gets one anyway because he's editing. He has to have one because he's editing all of our shit.
So are we just gonna give him a?
Yeah, he gets one.
Okay.
Gnome is now tied with you for 1
for woos. But so
God
that
damn it.
Yeah, there you go. Now you really gotta. Who's gonna be last? You or Derek?
Gotta be Derek.
Yeah, I think it might be me. I'm not gonna lie. I think it might be me. I think I'll be trying way too hard to get to that, and that's why I don't think I'm gonna get it. I think Dyer gets it before me.
Okay. Well, without further ado, Derek, floor is yours for the first potential grenade of the.
Well, I don't
season?
think it's going to be a grenade. This is kind of more directed towards the chat, both yours and mine. And I know Dyer doesn't have a stream going, so once we get him, hopefully we'll get him eventually. We'll get that. That's where I think he should get the grenade, is because he has horseshit internet that we can't even see him.
You can call my local internet provider, Kinetic by Windstream. Tell them to hook up the fucking fiber that they dug up the entire street to lay 18 fucking months ago, and haven't opened it up to the area yet.
He said month. That just the internet's so bad that it cut out the.
Oh, I thought he said
part.
monk.
I just said month.
18 monks.
18 months ago.
I feel like a fucking monk with all this shitbag internet.
But
Oh my!
So there he goes.
You guys hear that?
No, what?
No.
That's my headset. It's like making these fucked up noises.
Oh.
God, internet headset. My pet's heads are falling off.
You're just falling apart over
Is
there.
it still bad or no?
That's good. It's like every time I move the cord, it Makes a fucked up
So
noise.
you've just been transported back to the early 2000s where you have to wrap your iPod headphones around the iPod multiple times to make sure that you get the proper connection to listen to your song. Is that what's going on right now, Dyer?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
No. Deep. What the Christ?
I think he deserves. It's not even anything bad. I think it just fits perfectly for the siren. Well, I was gonna do the siren one. It's like that's what's going on right now. Yeah, he's in trouble. He's trying to get it right.
We just got we Dyer's has got a you know what it is. He lives in Ohio, and Ohio right now is just getting beat up. You didn't make your yearly sacrifice on time, and now you're just paying the price.
The air quality here is so bad from the train derailment that it's even started fucking up my electronics. Forget my lungs.
Bobby Belt, which guy I get to, and this is why Bobby, you need to stay in here because I'm going to talk about what happened today. But here in a second. But Bobby just said your headset is just a tin can and string.
You know what it is? Then you should upgrade from like. Are you just using Twine? Because I would recommend going to Fishing Line, Dyer. You might get a little better connection then. Twine Free is a little too much, you know.
Good luck.
By the way, Bobby, this weekend too, please come to the house and try some more of my butt because we got the fights on Saturday.
Hey.
So what I want to dive into, because like I said, for the stream, and I'm sure people that listen to they'll hear about this and maybe it interests them or whatnot. But two things I'm going to talk about. First thing is a TV show. And I was wondering who has already dove into it. Dove into the show. It's called The Last of Us.
I have not.
Damn it. So that's where I was, you were definitely one that I thought for sure had seen it.
Now our editor is balls deep in it.
Okay. So he'll understand. I'm not, I'm only one episode in, so I'm not going to say too much. I will say that, thank you, Bobby. I know you are. I did get a little emotional in the first episode because I hate seeing stuff that was happening. For Terps, I know you. Are you interested in seeing it?
I know the gist. I've played the game, and they're following the game pretty
heavily. Is what
pretty
I heard,
heavily.
So.
Not only heavily, but they're keeping things in the they're not. The one thing I like about it is there's been some controversy about it, and they literally just say we don't give a fuck. We're literally following the script of the game, and that's like what I love when it comes to like. Adaptations is when they don't change something, they just kind of keep it because it's so integral to the game. And from what I've heard, it's amazing. And
yeah,
also Pedro Pascal, who's the one of the main actors on that dude is just like living it up right now because he's also the Mandalorian. And he's also the dude from Game of Thrones, the one who did like who fought the mountain and died. But he got his head exploded.
Huh.
He also did that, and he was in the main in Narcos too. This man has had a crazy 10 years of acting.
Well, with that being said,
so he gets
yeah, that's a good. I had no idea about that.
I don't think he's missed yet. I don't know what's
going on with Dyer. I think he's on the moon right now. So we're trying to get some communication there with him. I don't know if he started watching it. I'm assuming Dyer. Can you give us a microphone breath twice? Something. Any kind of sounds. 1 for no, 2 for yes, or we can go the other way if you'd like. All right. So that was good. I don't know if he's seen it, but it is something I strongly recommend. I was talked into it. I thought it's an incredible show so far. I mean, again, I've only seen one episode, but it definitely had me locked in. For somebody who is tired getting ready to watch this, I actually I kind of woke up and got into it. Like I would have watched episode 2, but it was an hour and 30 minutes for the first episode. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to make it to the next one because I got to go to bed. But it so far is a really good show. And in my mind, this is just me being me because I like to just think about the most ridiculous stuff in the world. This, to me, feels like what the future could be, with everything that's going on. That's how crazy it is. Now, obviously, we're not going to get zombies and all that. But then again, who knows?
Why not? I mean, I feel like the Earth could do with a good zombification.
At this point, anything's
kind of
possible. I mean, supposedly now, I'm talking about The Last of Us.
Everyone I've heard who's watched it everyone I've heard who's watched it, including our editor, Noam was talking to me about it, and he goes, "You know how I knew it was a good show was that my wife was upset when the episode ended, because that's how I knew it was like a top tier show."
Yeah, it's. I mean,
And like that's everything I've heard about it is that people are upset that it's not longer, and everyone it's like another. It's almost reaching that Game of Thrones level of excitement when it comes to, because Game of Thrones owned Sunday night for a very long time. Like Sunday night, you would sit down and you'd get ready for the new Game of Thrones episode. That was it for 8 years,
yeah.
if not long. I know it was like 10 years because they skipped a year.
Yep.
But like that was it. You got, and now it's Last of Us. Last of Us is the Sunday, Sunday sit down. You get a blanket, you get a beer, and you watch Last of Us, which is, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a so far so good. So I strongly recommend that. The other thing that I was trying to share, which was pretty funny, and that's why it's funny that Bobby Belt is here, who does the morning show for those that are in Dallas. If you ever listen to them, they're on we'll go on Bobby's time from 6 to 10. But that is the morning show. It's the Sean and RJ and Bobby. I'll get to, okay, cool. Episode 3 is interesting. Nice. Well,
And accurate and accurate to the game. That was the episode that a lot of people were upset about, and it's kind of funny because the people who were upset about it were the ones who didn't play the game or didn't know like the actual backstory to it, or like, and it's just interesting to see that, because for once a show stayed accurate to the game and people are upset about it, which is unusual because normally it's like the other way around. People get upset because you don't stick to the, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, they said too that the sales for the game have skyrocketed, which
Oh yeah,
I'm going to be one of those people that gets it now because I would like
It's
to get into it.
phenomenal game, like great. And what's funny is now you'll have watched the show and then you'll play the game, and there are moments where they literally take the game dialogue and they put it in the movie.
See, I like that.
So it's like, it's that kind of thing, and
good.
they did a really, really good adaptation for it.
But yeah, so that's the show. I want to try to get people on. Maybe if you guys get on it, we can talk about it next week or whatnot, as just something like, hey, what'd you think? But the other thing too is, so yesterday, again, like I said, Bobby is in here, and one of the funniest things about that is I decided I was going to try to make something interesting out of seeing Sean, one of the morning co-hosts with Bobby, was at the Mavs game. We went to the Mavs game. He was sitting across from me. I was with one of my buddies, and we made eye contact whenever we looked at each other, and all of a sudden I said, hey, Sean, let's go get a shot. Well, first he was like showing me his beer. He showed me his beer, and I was like, no, I'm not drinking that. I'm good. Let's go take a shot at halftime. So I invited him to go over there, take a shot at halftime. He tells me no. What really is said, and that's why I'm trying to be funny, and I know somebody's going to take this the wrong way, whatever, but because it's not meant, it's just a joke. But he said, hey, come down to the Patron Lounge. Well, I was like, no, I'm not going to the Patron Lounge. Patron Lounge, for those that don't know what the Mavs game is, more of like the private, secluded, like, you got to have a certain ticket to get down there and then go in there. I have the ticket, but I don't care. And so I said, no, I'm going to be with the rest of the people. Come and hang out there. Let's take a shot. And he didn't respond because I can even look at the text and everything. He did not respond. Or no, he did. Sorry. He said, okay, cool. And then I go down to the Jack Daniels Club. I'm getting ready to take the shot. I get a bunch of shots. It's tradition for me. If you go to a Mavs game, you're taking a shot of tequila at halftime. Or if you come up to me and I have extras, you're going to get a free shot of tequila. Because I usually get about 8 to 10 shots of tequila, and we pass them out to my buddies and the girls that are there, like everything. Yeah, everybody's more than welcome to. So we go and we go to take the shot with these guys, and gave them out, gave a couple girl shots. We were all just taking shots together. Sean didn't show up. So I go back to my seat, and I had texted him. I was like, hey, man, we're trying to take a shot. Or no, sorry, I was still there. I was like, Sean, we're taking a shot. Where are you at? And he just tells me, I'm back at the seats. We wanted to watch Luka. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, oh, you've changed. He didn't say anything. Go back to my seat. I start texting RJ, and Bobby at the same time. I said, hey, you're never going to believe this. Sean just big leagued me. And they started laughing. And I said, look, I'm going to make a video. We're going to make this kind of funny. Let's see what we can do. And you guys can bring it up. Before I could even get to do the video, RJ already stirred the pot and started telling Sean, oh, it looks like you've big league Derek. You go to a game and now you're too big time for him. Then they start going back and forth. It was pretty funny. Whatever. They're going at it. Then finally, I get to the upstairs bar after the game. Same thing. I went to Jack Daniels again. I said, all right, if he's there, cool, we can take a shot together. But I know he's not because he's going to take off. So I went up there and I got a shot, and then I made a video. And the video is me just sitting there. I said, man, I tried to invite you to come take a shot with me. You didn't want to take a shot with me. So here I am. I'm going to take this shot with all my friends. And jokingly, there is no friends. I said that I have no friends, and then I take the shot, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to just go home. And then I left. So they played that today. It was pretty funny. He tried to cover it up and make it seem like, it wasn't that big of a deal. So just a weird story. It was funny. He just reminded me of it. That's why I wanted to at least share it. So it was definitely, it was funny.
Who doesn't go to have shots with their friends?
Well, that's the thing. You go to a Mavs game, that's why the Mavs lost. I blame the loss on Sean because he did not come down and take the shot. If he would have taken the shot, Mavs would have won. Everybody likes free shots. If you see me at the Mavs game down at the Jack Daniels, all you got to do is just say, hey, did you have any extra shots? I'm like, yeah, I got one right here. You want it? Let's go.
Yeah, my chat's saying I'd take a shot.
Everybody would take a shot.
Yeah.
It's just like Bobby Belt said in here. Derek Holland, man of the people. Sean Sharif, man of 1%ers. Shaking my head.
He just knows where his check came from.
Yeah, I mean, and he was he was there with somebody who is a very important person. I respect this man more than anything. He is he's the chef up at Nick and Sam's, unbelievable restaurant. If you have not been, so please go check it out. I will never ever, or could I ever, say anything bad about that man, because he's a phenomenal dude and he's always taking care of me, and I always go make sure I take care of him. But they weren't there, so I can't get him any shit there. I can only give Sean truly the shit because he big leagued me. Samir didn't even know. I didn't text Samir and said, hey, you got to come take a shot with us. So that would be on me.
Yeah.
And yes, I do. I give out my butt and my liquid freely. That is very true. If you want shots, I'll give you shots. You want some of my liquid? Fine, you can have it. You want some of my butt? Cool, you can have that too. And hey, with that being said, that's brought to you by Dude Wipes.
I was ahead of you.
Whenever you need to clean up your butt or clean up my liquid, grab a Dude Wipe.
Not a sponsor, but willing to be.
I wish.
We're open. We'll give live demonstrations on the proper front to back as opposed to back to front. Because, sounds like we need to send Dyer a 21st century kit.
Yeah, we got to get, see, poor Dyer. Wait, what about his, just the camera on your laptop? You could use that. I'm assuming you're on the laptop.
Well, he could also just switch the microphone, keep the headset in because he can still hear us, and just switch the microphone input to the laptop mic. It'll sound like shit, but he'll be able to talk on Discord.
That's true.
Big brain.
Might have to help him on that one. But let's dive into some baseball talk then while we try to get Dyer back by doing that. Spring training is finally here. I know for the Ranger fans, I do want to say we had the alarming panic when good old DeGrom was sidelined for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it was. Got his first bullpen. I don't know when his first game is. I need to do more Rangers research, which I'm
not saying nothing.
No, I know. Well, you could say I told you so going into this.
I see, but that's mean because, here's the thing.
It's not being mean.
I want DeGrom to succeed.
Oh, I do too.
It's just no. You know what it was. So me and my buddy Subtape, we both sent each other a text, and the text was the same thing, and it was, I've seen this movie before. Because it's not a shot at DeGrom or at the Rangers or at the Mets. It's just I've seen this movie before. Every year, and it's. Well, I just want to see one full year of DeGrom without injuries, start to finish. That's all I want to see.
And you will. I mean, you're definitely going to get to see all that. I think, again, like I said, he's with a great training staff. I have a lot of respect for the Rangers organization and their staff. I mean, I was with them for a long time. So I know that everything will be all right. When you spend that kind of money, I get it. Any precaution, you got to take it. You got to do it because you want to get the most out of your product. And with him, you're going to get video game numbers out of him. Now, I don't know which. I heard this, and this is a good question, which I wish Dyer had his mic going. Hopefully, he can get it to where he uses the laptop mic and everything too. So we might have to try to help him there. But the question was, would you rather get, I think it was 25 starts out of DeGrom, but add 1 to his ERA? So if he had, like last year he had like a 2 something, I think, or yeah, let's say it was a 2 something. So he'd have a 3 ERA. So we'll say a 3.50 ERA. Or do you take DeGrom for 15 starts with his normal, close to 1 ERA?
As a Mets fan, I take the 15 starts. Here's why. Majority of DeGrom's wins with the Mets were 1-run games.
Yeah.
And that's just the Mets. And I'll wait, sure I'll hear, well, Rangers have better hitting and they're good at hitting. No, we were getting 1 run with Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, Mark Canha, Starling Marte before, we had good hitters. We had a Silver Slugger with us the whole night. And for some reason, whenever DeGrom pitches, now it could be that the other team's also throwing out their ace 9 times out of 10 when you're matching up with DeGrom, but it was consistently 1-run games, sometimes 2-run games. And that extra point on the ERA in a 1-run game is a loss.
It could be. But you got to think it's just
experience.
It just takes 1 inning, though, to get that thing to go up like that.
Yeah, but he's so consistent, though, that, it would take... Because he'll have so many good games, but that's just enough blown games with him, or just frustrating games there, that it's 15 with his usual. I know I'm getting 15 extremely good innings. It's tough because, like I said, just from experience, I've watched a lot of 1-run games with DeGrom when there shouldn't have been.
No, I get that. And hold on. First, Dyer, do we have you back? I thought I heard him for a second.
I heard him for a split second there.
Okay, so we'll keep going. So here's the other thing. I agree with you. Because I do like that. I think for sure, getting 15 starts is good. But I look at the fact of, if you give me those 25 starts and he's still got a 3.50 ERA, we're in every single game. It comes down to the bullpen. So that's where it's going to be no matter what. Even if he has his 1 ERA, like you said, in 15, or like I said, with 15 starts, it still has to come down to his bullpen because he's not throwing complete games. So with that being said, that's why I'd rather take the risk of going with 25 starts. He gives us a chance to win every single time he's out there. Like you said, yeah, a lot of his games were lost by 1 run. So now I have to really rely heavily on my bullpen. So I'm definitely I'd rather have more DeGrom than less DeGrom.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, hey, I'm back.
All right.
I dug up my old Yeti mic.
That's why you sound so good.
That's good.
You
You do sound pretty good.
You sound a little sexy.
So wait, I don't know. Did you?
I'm gonna give you a.
Did you, Dyer?
Upgrade.
Did you hear what we were talking about already, or were you searching for the mic at that time?
I heard some talk about DeGrom.
Okay,
That's about it.
So the question was, would you rather have 25 starts from DeGrom with a 3.50 ERA, or would you rather have 15 starts out of DeGrom with a 1.50 ERA? Actually, I'm going to give it a 2. We'll say a 2 ERA.
I'd say you got to go with the 25 starts because I think even DeGrom with the 3.50 ERA is probably better than whoever it is you're going to get for those the difference of the 10 starts. I mean, who's going to be that guy? I don't think that's going to be anybody that's going to come in and pitch like that. So it's probably got to be the 3.50
with the Rangers rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Evaldi has a chance to do it. You have Martin Perez, who made all of his starts last year, if I'm not mistaken. He did it.
I'm talking about I'm talking about who in lieu of DeGrom though. Like, I mean, those guys are going to be in the rotation anyway. Who's going to come in in what essentially amounts to that 5th spot?
You'd have Dane Dunning. You'd have God dang it, what's the other guy's name that they got? They picked him up. I forget the other guys.
I guess my counter to that, Dyer, would be the Mets do what they did last year without DeGrom for most of the season.
Wait, say that again?
So the Mets did what they did last year, 100+ wins, without DeGrom for most of it. So if you build your rotation well, you can fill that hole, which they did for the most part. And the Rangers have gone out and got good pieces for their rotation. So I think I think the question is valid in the sense of, now, obviously you want DeGrom out there more than you want other people out there. But let's say DeGrom was on... Actually, yeah, look at DeGrom on the Mets 4 years ago, and their rotation was not what it is the last 2 years, right? Then it made a huge difference. Say the same thing about the Rangers. What if the Rangers got DeGrom last year and didn't make any other moves? Would you still have the same trust in who's picking up those extra 10 starts as you do now? Now, granted, it's untested because you haven't seen these new guys pitching in Arlington versus, I mean, you've seen them pitch elsewhere, but not pitching for the Rangers yet. So it's that kind of like, I don't know. I like I said, I think you missed what I was saying, Dyer, but I would almost take the 15 starts and trust the rest of the rotation just because I've seen so many 1-0 losses when DeGrom's pitched, or 2-1 losses with the Mets, where it's just the hitters whenever. Now, I don't know if this is a thing, but let me ask you this, Derek, because maybe we're crazy, but this has long been a theory with Mets fans. Is there a subconscious change in approach with batters when you have a lockdown ace like DeGrom pitching for you? Or is it because you're oftentimes, when you're using an ace like DeGrom, going to be facing that other team's number one guy? That could lead a lot to those low hit, low run outcome, or is like a mix of both?
It could, oh man, you can go so many different ways, but I think you're getting more of the low side of it. What'd you just say? The last thing, sorry, I got sidetracked because I'm also watching Heaney here. I was trying to see who else was in the rotation for the Rangers.
Want me to repeat the question?
Yes,
okay.
If you don't mind, please.
So, yeah, sure. So this has long been like a running theory with Mets, not theory, but a debate with Mets fans. And when you have a pitcher like DeGrom level pitcher, not just a number one, but like number one in the league kind of pitcher, do you think that there's a subconscious change in hitting approach by the batters, which leads to a lot of these low scoring games from like the Mets? Or do you think it's because you usually end up facing the other team's number one guy when DeGrom's on the mound?
You always do try to match it up that way. You know, that's why there's always the number one on number one, game day. But once the rotations kind of get screwed up, you don't get to have that matchup because, like, maybe, let's say the first 3 games is Seattle, and then, we get a day off, and then we're playing whatever. Like, the rotation gets all messed up, but nobody's changing their approach with it. You got to give a lot more credit to that pitcher, because like, for example, with DeGrom, everybody that I've ever heard talk about facing him is literally saying it's like facing a video game. I'm talking
about like the Mets hitters when DeGrom's pitching kind of thing. Because
that's like, what I'm saying. They don't change like, oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it the other way from
right.
The
No. I'm saying when DeGrom pitches for the Mets, historically the Mets do not put up run support.
Right. No.
Whereas with the other pitchers, they do.
No, and I get it. And what happens is some of the situations, it's maybe they are putting a little too much pressure on themselves because they hate seeing that he's doing so good and we can't put up the numbers that we should. Because, like, for instance, Jim Boogerloo could be pitching day 2 and he's terrible, but he always gets the run support. I've had that. I had that happen with me. I had incredible run support one year, but I wasn't pitching bad. I wasn't pitching great either. I was pitching good enough I finished with I think I had a 405 or something ridiculous like that. that is like, that's the thing, is like, it's, I guess, just being comfortable and having that confidence that when you get up there, you believe you can do it, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, we're in the 7th inning and we haven't done anything yet. We got too comfortable with having DeGrom. I mean, they're out there doing as much as they can. They don't change their approach just because you're facing, it was DeGrom and versus Scherzer. They don't change their approach. It's just that guy, like when I had to match up against Verlander, it was like, I have to compete and stay in this game as much as I possibly can, because he's going to keep them from scoring runs. I got to do my job, keep them from scoring runs. So it's just a constant battle. And I don't think they're literally like taking it to where, I don't know. They're not changing their approach at the plate just because of who they're facing.
So for example, just some numbers out there, because I like obviously baseball statistics, and you can say a lot of things and things can appear one way and they're not. The only pitcher who had worse luck with this statistically, and it's a stat called tough losses, which is you put out a quality start and then lose by 1. Yeah. DeGrom had 27 of them in since 2014. This is 2021. So since 2014 through 2021, he has earned himself 27 losses. There's only one pitcher ahead of him. I'm sure DeGrom's now ahead of him now.
Quintana?
But that was Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He had 28 as of August 29th, 2021. So it's not, because I don't want Rangers fans listening to this thinking that, it's just a Mets fan like shitting on DeGrom. No, like it's statistically, they looked at this, they've looked at this year over year, and if the Mets scored the average number of runs they scored in games that DeGrom didn't pitch, it would have added between 15 and 17 wins to their season in the 2021 cycle. And that's just 1 year. So it's not like the lineup wasn't hitting well. That's if you take like how they hit when, I don't know, Zach Wheeler was pitching, or when Bartolo Colon was pitching back then, or 2021 when like Cookie was pitching. You take those numbers and you apply them to DeGrom over the course of a season average, and that's 17 more wins based off of DeGrom's performance staying the same.
Yeah.
So that's where, and 17 wins is more than 15 starts versus 25 starts.
Yeah.
That's a 10 start difference versus a 17 start difference. That's kind of where my question was. It's like, how much of that?
Yeah, but nobody changes their approach. Like, if anything, it's just more, you come into the game like more confident, I guess you could say, because we know that he's not going to give up runs.
Correct.
So that would be that's the only thing I could really sit and say that I would know for a fact. That's what guys would, that's how they are. They're going to come to the stadium knowing for a fact we can win this today. Like that, you come into that game 100% confident. I know that I've played, I'm not saying any names at all, but there's been guys that, and I've probably been one of those guys that they would come in. It's like, I don't know what we're going to get today. Are we going to get this or are we going to get that?
Yeah.
So the confidence is a little bit different, but yeah, DeGrom, no chance. Everybody's showing up
100%.
ready to go.
It's just curious because it's a year over year statistic with them. It's not like a,
no, I get what you were saying.
Yeah. Especially with like the Mets lineup too. I mean, the Rangers can hit, so can the Mets. And so it's like, well, if that was happening with the Mets, I'm just curious how it's going to transit to the Rangers, if we're going to see the same thing, because statistical data shows us that with pitchers of DeGrom's caliber, that does happen.
Right, but now we have a lot of different things too that's going to create more. It could be tough against him with the shifts and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how the shifts affect.
Stupid.
I mean, but the thing is too with DeGrom though, you're going to get a lot of punchies. So it's not that versus say someone like Stroman, who's a ground ball pitcher, who the shift might affect a little bit more. DeGrom's more times than not going to give you more punches, and he's going to even give you hits. You know, the number of sub 5 hit games that DeGrom's going to give you is going to be massive.
Yeah,
just historically speaking. Oh,
yeah.
Dyer, your thoughts after my rant?
He was just here.
He was just here. What happened? Dyer, what'd you change?
Damn it, Dyer, what'd you do?
This is where Tyler edits this cut part out. The Yeti was sounding great too.
Well, all right. Well, let's
But
carry
yeah,
on.
like Death saying Seeger can hit close for you. Like I'm not the thing I want to be clear with like Death is it's not has nothing to do with the quality of the hitters on the team. It's more just a statistical. This is what's happened year over year over year with pitchers of DeGrom's caliber, not just DeGrom. Because you could argue Mad Bum had some insane lineups behind him, and in his prime, and still had that issue. So it's like it's a little different.
He said he got kicked out of Zencaster.
You're still in. That's fine.
No, it says he's offline.
I know.
Would he just click the link again, or how's that?
Well, Craig will get everything. Yeah, and as soon as he rejoins, it'll put him back in again. Oh, now we lost him.
He'll probably come right back. I bet
He'll
he
come
just
right back.
yeah.
Resetting. I just thought it was an interesting like.
Hello.
There he is.
What the fuck is going on? Wonder why that me out.
You're in. You're good.
Yeah, you're fine.
We got you.
Let me try and get back in Zencaster. Sorry. Derail.
You're
good.
fine.
I mean, what more could you expect from the guy in Ohio than a derail? Oh, it won't let me restart Zencaster though.
You're in. You're good. It says you're in. I got green
okay?
light. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm back.
All right.
1 second, then I gotta do this.
I know I had to cough, and so I muted my mic, and I don't know if that screwed something up.
You're good. I guess everybody's got.
Yeah, just check your Zencaster again. That's why we have Craig though. Always have a backup.
Always.
Party!
have
Oh hell!
a backup.
Well, really, Zencaster's the backup. Either way. All right.
I think
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I mean, so did you hear anything of what I was saying or what we were saying, Dyer, about DeGrom or no?
I heard it, but I wasn't really paying much attention because I was trying to troubleshoot this.
Well, we can. I mean, we don't have to stay in that one. It's we've got.
We can
that.
move on. But
Well, let's just dive into this. What's everybody's thoughts on the bigger bases after seeing so far everything with spring training? Thoughts on that?
they look hilarious. They're not altering the game in any way.
Yeah, that's what I feel
They,
too.
they look hilarious though. Like it just the camera angle makes them look way bigger than they actually are.
I mean,
Like
and two, it's like I get it. Like it's cool. I mean, it's not cool, but they are funny looking because they're huge. It's like giant pizza boxes out there. But at the same time, look at the safety. You know, that's the big thing.
well, the big thing too is, are you going to notice them in a year or two once you've seen them every day for a year? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna notice. Nobody's gonna care about that.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's just funny right now when you see people.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
we'll still probably laugh at it then too because we know the differences of the bases. So it's just gonna be something we're gonna be like, whatever.
What's really funny to me is that college is still smaller. Like guys come from college, go to the pros, and be like, what the fuck is this?
Isn't that kind of backwards too? Like normally college is bigger. Like the goalposts are wider in college football than they are in the NFL, and generally things are easier in college sports than they would be in professional. But this feels kind of backwards, where the base is larger. It's easier, obviously, to touch. It's easier to slide into. You have more space, whereas in college it's not. It seems kind of strange to me the way that it is.
I wonder if it's just a logistical thing in college. Like you're talking about 32 MLB teams, versus 300 and something NCAA collegiate programs.
It can't be that hard. Order some new freaking bases.
I'm sure they're implemented. I can just
They probably will be.
see
or
why
something.
it's not. Yeah. What about the pitch clock? Games are shorter. Games are averaging about 2.5 hours. A lot of it. There are some pitchers now who are having some difficulty with it. You know, if we're gonna have the pitch clock, embrace the pitch clock at this point. Like, it's stupid. I get it. I don't like it. But if we're gonna have it, we're gonna have it, kind of thing. And the one thing I want to touch on is I've seen a lot of tweets about people saying to pitchers who give up balks now or whatever, saying things like, well, you should have just known better, blah, blah, you should be better. I'm like, we have to understand, Derek, and I'd like you to talk about this a little bit because you can really like dive in on
I'm
this.
going to.
But when you have someone like Derek who has played professional baseball for more than a decade and has played baseball at a high level for more than 2 decades and has trained his body and his mind to a certain way of doing things.
Technically, I've played in 3 decades.
Okay. Yeah,
Just want to throw that out there.
yeah. I got you. But
That
anyway,
should be a freaking woo. That's impressive.
fine. Dyer, any objections?
No, I'm on board with that.
Okay.
That is quite impressive.
But
Thank you.
You're welcome. But the thing is like when you have a guy like Derek who's physically played for 20 plus years, has trained his body, has done all of that, and has gotten to a certain thing, and then he comes in to spring training one new year, and he's so used to pitching a certain way, he's adapted his rhythm, he's adapted the way he pitches. Now they go, by the way, you got to throw in 15 seconds now. There's going to be hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to happen because now, and people say, well, it's easier, just throw the ball faster. Well, if you have a whole mental process and you have a whole pitch process and you've done it a certain way for years, it's not easy for everyone to flip that switch.
It's all about routine, you know.
Exactly.
You're like you said, you're in that zone. You have that routine down. You've honed that a certain way. It's going to take some time for that to change. I mean, we're creatures of habit, not just in baseball and everything. If your routine changes, you know, from the way you get ready for work in the morning, one little thing can screw that up and cause you to forget your cup of coffee or whatever it is, to, you know, to relate that to quote unquote the real world. But I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Your routine's off a little bit now, and there's going to be issues because of that. I think after a few months, half the season, one full season, whatever it is, I think largely those will be gone, but there is going to be a learning curve.
Yeah. So do you guys want to say anything else before I dive into this?
No,
Go
before
for it.
Okay. So here's the thing with me. I'm okay with the pitch clock. It's kind of somewhat grown on me. It just sucks that the way it's being used is we're basically punishing the guys that actually have pretty decent tempo. I was a guy that threw 12 seconds in between pitches. That's how long it took every time for me. I was very consistent with that. It becomes a bit of a nuisance because of the one thing that pissed me off the most was the run in from the bullpen. Older guys are not trying to do a freaking John Rocker dead sprint to the mound. Okay. That's just common sense. Like for me, I get out there, I'm in good shape. I get out there pretty quick. What pissed me off, and I had the incident, which we've talked about before, you have until 30 seconds to throw your last pitch. Now, umpires have done this multiple times to try to get in the way of that when you get close to the 30-second mark, rather than just letting it go and then, okay, boom, there it is. You were past it, ball one. That's it. No big deal. Go through with that. Now, the other thing, and I was talking to Kinsler about, well, actually, I'll get to that in a second, because I did talk to Kinsler about this too, and he gets it too from this point of view, and that's it. But we're not there yet. So the other thing is with the pitch clock, if anything, let's add 2 seconds. The bigger thing to me, I would say, 15 seconds should be plenty of time though to get your sign and go. But it's just such a factor of having the routine of, you know, come set. Sometimes what sucks is when you get into a longer inning, for instance, and you're, you know, getting maybe hit around, or maybe you're just not throwing many strikes. That's where people are going to start having the issues, because they're going to be like, you're going to hear fans screaming, throw strikes. Well, that's as a pitcher, we step off the mound to gather our thoughts, clear it for a second, so that way we don't keep throwing balls. We start like, hey, you gotta talk to yourself. You gotta talk yourself out of it. Well, we can't do that if you're getting the ball and you have to be done in 15 seconds or 15-second increments every single time. So that's where that bothers me the most. And even if it was 17 seconds, I still don't think that's enough because of that situation. Now, I get it, overusing that can obviously be a reason. That's why we have the pitch clock. Yes, there are pitchers that tend to take forever when they do their wind-ups and all their mannerisms that they got to do in between the pitch. I get that. A big one that stands out that I know he's already had an issue with it so far this spring, I think once or twice, but Karinchak, I think is how you say his name, from the Indians. He likes to spin the ball in his hand, and he kind of walks around and does a lot. That's going to be a factor on him. The other thing too is I want to be able to throw quality pitches, not rush pitches. We've talked about this before. I don't want to be trying to race the clock to try to make a good pitch. And people, yes, they're going to be like, well, you should be able to get the ball, go and hit your spot. Everything that you do, even in work, in regular daily life, whatever, takes time. It's a process. So if I'm rushing the process, how good is the product? Might not be as good as you want it to be. That's why you go to a Subway sandwich or wherever. I'm just throwing that out there. They don't make it as fast as they can and as sloppy. They want it to be a sandwich that you can grab it, hold on to it, and it's not freaking all over the place. Same thing with pitching. I want to be able to be under control and throw my pitches. Now, granted, yes, the throwing, I want to be able to make the quality pitch. That's why the time, I just wish if anything, maybe add 2 seconds and see if that helps. Now, when you get a runner at second, yes, I know we have digital for the most part. A lot of teams are doing that, having the earpiece so you can cycle through signs a lot quicker. I think that's going to help. But if teams are not using that and they're using the hand gestures, man, you make one bad selection or one bad call and he doesn't want that pitch, that's at least 4 seconds right off the clock. Now you're really screwed. So that is something that bothers me. I just don't, the pitch clock is good. It just, in a way, I get it. It just sucks because you're really just taking away the quality of the pitch. Now, the good thing is, yes, they are using it in the minor leagues, so those guys are getting used to it. But you're talking about guys like Scherzer, Verlander, all that. Now they have to start getting used to it. Now, Scherzer's actually doing pretty good with it, is what I'm hearing and seeing. He's been very quick with it. But it's just, to me, I'm truly not a fan of this because this is a strategic game. So it's just like playing chess. You don't rush moves, as far as I know. Is there a shot clock on chess?
Yeah, there can be. Yeah.
There can be?
Yeah.
How long would it be, though?
Okay, so it's not a shot clock. You have, the way chess works, there's 2 types of chess. Well, multiple types of chess, but one of them is blitz chess, where you have 5 minutes to play a full game, and every time you're doing a move, you hit a buzzer, and it stops your timer, starts the other person's timer. Regular chess, you get 15 or 20 minutes. Same thing. Every time you so let's say like you move, right? You move a pawn, you hit your buzzer. That now starts my clock. So I have to complete the game inside of my 20 minutes. Every time I make a move, I hit the buzzer, your timer starts again.
Okay.
So yes and no. Not in the same way as like, you don't have 15 seconds to make a move, but you have to play within your time frame.
Yeah, no, I get that. So that's the only thing. I mean, that's where it becomes an issue to me, is with runners on second, where you got to use multiple signs. If you're not, I think everybody will be using the earpiece thing. I'm assuming so. I don't know. If they do, that's going to help a lot too. It's just like also with the shift. We're talking with Kinsler about it. I see his point to it as hitters. Obviously, it sucks when you do have everybody over there. For instance, he is a straight pull hitter, so they always would shift him. It does take away from him. But I would always mention to him, like, well, when you try to go the other way, like, is it that hard? Yes, it is. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So I respect it. I get it. I got to play with both, where the shift was, the shift wasn't really a big deal when I first got up. Nobody was like shifting dramatically like they were, where it was like 4 outfielders, or, you know, the guys all piled over on the right side, and you have just your third baseman and over on the left side. So that I've seen both sides of that, and that's fine. I'm okay with the not so much shift. The one that really pissed me off the most that I don't like is the number of step offs. Again, that goes back to what I said is if I've thrown 2 straight balls to a batter, I want to take a second. I want to step off, walk around for a second, and then get back on the mound. That was what I was always taught to do. Guys can't do that. So I think you're going to see, in my opinion, when a guy struggles, he's not going to be able to ride it out as long.
I think
that's where I'm sorry. And
no, you're good.
that's where I think it's going to be an issue there is when guys are starting to struggle in an inning, you're going to see a lot more going on in that. And you're going to hear more from the fan base or the fans, I should say, directed at that pitcher because he's not throwing strikes or whatever the case may be. So that's where I think that becomes an issue. I'll let you go ahead and say it next because I got something else I want to say about the step offs.
I think there's 3 things here to look at. Big things. One, something in my chat, Mike up Dylan. Do you think teams that have younger talent have a better understanding of the clock? Maybe give them advantage earlier in the year. I think teams that have had players who have played with the clock already will have an advantage.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Older teams will have a little more adapting to do.
And I
100%.
think I think everybody's going to adapt. There's no doubt
Agreed,
about that.
Yes.
Yeah, the younger team will adapt quicker. Will it be an advantage? No, I don't think it will.
I think so. The other thing that I'm curious about, and I haven't seen, so I've been doing a little bit of research too on this, is one, I saw that umpires have the discretion to add more time to a pitch clock or to a hit or batter's count at their discretion.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets a little finicky with me though. Are these clocks reviewable? What if the umpire doesn't give a batter a strike when he's not set with 8 seconds left, but does give a batter a strike later down the line to the other team? What if
you're definitely gonna have.
I agree.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
And yes, 100%.
So where do you
Can't
like
review it?
No, I know, but I would do they go to that point then where it's like if you see as much discrepancy, if you see a ton of discrepancy, does it become that where now you can challenge that? Because we saw it happen in the we saw it happen in the Braves game when the game was tied 6-6, and then the batter wasn't set at 8 seconds, strike 3. And this is spring training game. Obviously, it means nothing in terms of the World Series, but what's going to happen when you get those umpires and there's going to be stats about which umpire calls the timer more strictly than others, who's more lenient with who, yada 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 yada. And now it might become that thing, Derek. Who knows? Where you've said before, you guys get scouting reports on umpires.
Oh yeah.
Now you might be getting, hey, umpire A.
That's 100% going to be in there. That exactly what you're about to say. 1,000% will be in there. This guy is quick on the trigger when it comes to the pitch clock or stepping in the box. They will not fuck around with this. You need to get in there. We know who's hot, who's not. This guy's a little more, relaxed with it. This guy is way uptight. It's the same thing that we talk about with box and all that. There was one of the umpires, and he was incredible to me. He helped me out, told me a few things of what I was doing to help me, which that's the thing too. These umpires will help you out. If you ask them, okay, what is it that I'm missing? Now, granted, it's kind of a dumb question. Like, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, clearly you're not in the box by 8 seconds. That's, you're going to get that. But it was when it comes down to the box, yes, the umpire will step in and he will say after, you got to ask him. You can't do it right then too when it happens and be like, man, what the fuck did I do? Because I've done that before and that doesn't do anything but make things worse. They will help you. They're going to tell you like, hey, you crossed your leg or whatever, simple things like that. So umpires have all those, the scouting reports, everything's out there on them, and everything too. So yes, you're 100% on that. Challenge wise,
because it's one of them things where it's like, what if it's very one-sided? That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna see it, but you're not. You can't challenge that because then it's gonna be also like, can you challenge balls and strikes, which they're trying to make. Well,
are you technically challenging balls and strikes, or are you challenging a clock violation?
I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm just I'm being real Richard right now about it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you are. No, but good reference to our last podcast. But
that's right. Those that listen will catch it. Thank you.
Dyer, what do you think about that? Is this going to end up being one of them slippery slopes on the line, or?
I absolutely do think that this is going to be extremely problematic. It's not because when you put something like this and with this degree of ambiguity, it's causing the same problem that they're trying to get out of the game. Is they've created a new judgment call to where, like, well, here's the rule, but you can kind of enforce it however you want. Like, why are we adding things like this into the game? If we're going to go this far with it to have a pitch clock, then enforce the pitch clock. Everybody can see it. And if the rule is 8 seconds, it has to be 8 seconds.
And they have a buzzer. The umps have a buzzer. They get buzzed at 8 seconds. Yeah.
It's total nonsense for this to be a thing. If you're going to have the clock, make the clock matter and make the rule black and white. Either you're in at 8 seconds or you're not. If you're not, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Because umpire A is going to say, well, I'm going to enforce it at 9 seconds. And umpire B is going to, I'm going to enforce it at 5 seconds. And, well, then what is the rule? What good is having a rule if the enforcement of that rule is completely arbitrary?
I think they have to be Richards about it. They're gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be a straight up like, all right, Derek, you did not complete your delivery by 15 seconds. Like, it has to be that. I think it has to be you weren't in the box, Dyer, with 8 seconds to go. I think you're right. I think that any other kind of leniency, especially in games like playoff games, the World Series, is going to cause problems. Because if Derek's pitching and they're giving the batters he's facing consistently 10, 11 seconds to get set, and now Derek's shafted the entire time, whereas when Derek's team's batting, they're getting 7 seconds, let's go. 8 seconds, get in there, let's go. Consistently, that's going to cause a protest.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to taint the game. And so I think you're right, Dyer. I think it has to be, it can't be, the fact they made it a judgment call by giving umpires discretion, I think there needs to be strict rules in that. Of discretion is injury, obviously, or a stoppage in play for some reason, something happens, obviously, or things like standing ovations, things like that, where, it's so-and-so, it's Albert Pujols' last game. He's going to get a standing O, let the dude, do his thing, kind of thing.
Right.
I think they'll do that. I mean,
right, 100%.
I would hope to God the umpires have a feel for that, which I think they do. But yeah, I'm with Tolo Justin here. Leave the fucking game alone. I know he didn't say fucking, but leave it alone.
I saw a really good tweet the other day, and it said, no one complains about how long NFL games are.
Yeah, but they'll come back with, well, they have a play clock.
So?
But they still go 3 hours.
Longer.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know. And and I'm glad that you said that, because that's the thing that drives me insane. The people that are complaining are the people that don't really give two shits about baseball. People that aren't true fans, or people that don't really, one, maybe never played it, two, don't ever go to games. Or if they have, they went to one game and it just happened to be one that was just an absolute beatdown. That was a long time. Because there's going to be days, again, like we've said before, man, it was a pitcher's duel. This game was done in an hour and a half. Oh, damn, this game was just an absolute blowout. This one team couldn't throw strikes. They were getting hit around. It was just a tough day at the yard. It happens. It's the same way in football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's the thing that's the thing that freaking pisses me off, though, because people will say that in one breath. They'll say, that was an hour and a half game, pitcher's duel. Oh, it was so boring. There was no offense. This game was 4 hours long because each team scored 12 runs. You can't have it both fucking. What do you want?
Let me ask you this, too.
The game is the game. Somebody's going to score. Somebody's going to win. It's going to go one way or the other. It does take some time to play the game.
And let me ask
you.
You
don't
guys,
like it, don't watch it.
Let me ask you guys this, and I want I did love that too. Well said, Dyer. In your both honest opinion, because you know where I'm probably going to go with this once you hear me say it, but how much do you think this game favors the offense, the hitters, than it does the pitching? Everything we continue to keep changing favors who? The hitters.
And except for the shifts.
it still favors the hitters.
Does it?
Yeah, you're eliminating shifts, creating
yeah,
more
sorry.
offense.
No, I listened wrong.
Whoa.
Listen.
Go ahead, hit.
I got it.
Nah.
Oh no, you want
Yeah.
that one? I got you.
Yeah. But no,
I got
in all honesty, think about it. Who gets more of the, and I get it because I'm a pitcher and everybody's going like, well, you're biased because you're a pitcher. No, think about it. We changed the strike zone. We got the K zone out. So now people are really seeing the strike zone. And yes, I get it. The umpires kind of give the pitchers some of the calls, but the strike zone is built for the hitters. Does it go their way? Probably it's 50-50, whatever. Maybe 60-50 or 60-40 pitcher.
Change the baseballs.
You change the baseballs. We've done it secretly too, by the way.
Change certain teams better balls.
Yep. You eliminate, which this is where I get pissed off, is the number of step-offs to control the running game. Creating more action, obviously, to get stolen bases. And if I pick off twice, I can't even step off now just to gather my thoughts because it's an automatic balk or I have to try to get the runner out. Fucking stupid. You're supposed to try to control the running game. As a pitcher, I'm trying to continue to create the double play. Who does that favor again? The offense, the hitters. We did the shifts already. What's the other thing that we just talked about? Now having a pitch clock, which to me, I don't really feel like it favors one side more than the other, but it's kind of the quicker thing of it. So this whole thing, we're favoring, we want more offense. Well, then what about pitching? We got to get something to where it's an even matchup. This is supposed to be a battle between 1 and 2, or 1 and 1, however you want to do it.
And what's funny is that it's going to lengthen the game again.
What do you mean?
All the changes they're making. So you want a quicker game. You want a faster game, right? Faster game inherently means better pitching.
Yeah.
Pitchers' duels are faster. Just is what it is. Up and down. Okay, that's side A. But we also want more offense. All right. So more offense means pitchers being hit around, which means now I need a pitcher to go 3 batters. He's not doing well, but now I got to bring someone else in. That's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That's on ESPN. Then it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds that we're adding on to the game. Oh, but on top of that, there's hits. There's now home runs, home run trots, singles, doubles. Now we got pickoffs, mind games. You're adding more time in. And what's going to happen is they're going to get to the point where the offense is going to be so prevalent that the games are going to get longer again. And they're going to be like, oh, well, the games are longer again. What do we do about this? And it's just like, Dyer said it so many times. They say one thing with one hand and do the opposite with the other. And it's like they're fighting each other for no reason.
Don't worry,
Like
soon.
zero reason.
I can imagine soon they'll probably put a clock on the home run trot.
Yeah. Everyone's going to have to be Brandon
Either that,
Nimmo.
or they're gonna try and shorten games to 7 innings. Just in general.
College rules.
People say they'll never
can't
do
do
that.
that,
Don't fucking put it past them. They can't do it. They shouldn't do it. They would. I guarantee you that will come up at some point.
Don't make it
if we
double
get to
headers.
that point, like Terp said, exactly. We already have it in double headers. So don't be surprised if this comes up. If games start to creep back up in length, if they pitch the idea of cutting games down to 7 innings, I guarantee you it will happen at some point in the future. I'm not saying next year. I'm not saying in the next 5 years, but I guarantee you that will come up at some point. Mark my words.
It makes no sense how they say one thing and they go one way and then they just go the complete opposite direction the other way. And it's like, well, if you want to shorten the game, first of all, who knows what they're going to do with all the regional broadcasters now that half of them have gone belly up because they're with Bally Sports. So who knows what they're going to do with that? Because now you have to have advertising rights. You want to speed the game up, but clearly money means more because because for ESPN games, you give them longer in between innings and longer in between pitchers. So it's clearly something's, more important. It's the money. And to me, it's just like, if you're trying to do this much to make the game faster, pitch clock, fine. Whatever. At the end of the day, fine. We'll get used to it. But it just doesn't make sense that they're doing A to fight it with B to counter with C to then go back to D.
We need to put out a poll, put it on our Twitch. Let it run for a couple days. We'll try it. I'll retweet it. We'll constantly get it out there so we can get it seen. How many people actually care that the game is increased by 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I'll do it after the podcast. I'll put it out.
Because I mean, but
I'll put it out right now.
my whole
right now.
but my whole point is like, you go to a game, a sporting event. Okay, actually, I'm going to use this. I'm a season ticket holder for the Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Stars. I go to games with the intention of being a fan and supporting my team. I don't care if the Mavs, for instance, because I was just there last night, are getting blown out. Now, I didn't go to the Stars game because they're playing right now. But I don't care if they're getting blown out or they're blowing somebody out. That sounds so bad. I'm literally staying for the whole game. Now, I don't know. Terps, you're a Devils fan. If they're getting their shit handed to them, I would assume, because of how I know how you are, you would stay for the whole game. Unless
there's only one train home, then I'm leaving.
Correct. That's what I was getting ready. To say. Then if there's an issue with getting home, that's a different story.
Yeah, but if there's no issue, 100% I'm staying all the entire game.
Okay. Now, you're in this game, and it's a close one. It's a good game. It's going back and forth, but it's 3.5 hours long. Are you complaining?
Mm-mm.
You're excited, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dyer, you are, and I don't want to use our team because that's the only team that we share together. You're going to a Cleveland Indians game. Your intentions are that this could be a 2.5 hour to a 4 hour game. Correct? 4 hours
Yeah.
pretty steep.
No, I'm not going.
4 hours is pretty steep, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to a game like, I got to be out of here in 2 hours. If you're going to a game with that mindset, don't buy a ticket because you don't know how long you're going to be there.
Correct.
It's nonsensical.
So you're
You're
going
to the game, be there for the amount of time, beginning to end, or whenever you get there till end. Because I've gotten to games late before. It happens from time to time, whatever.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say is what if we go ask normal fans, I feel like nobody's really complaining about how long it is because you paid good money. A prime example is the basketball player Edwards. I'm trying to think of his first name that was with Timberwolves. Made the comment that somebody came to this game that may not be able to purchase a ticket and they want to see their favorite player out there and you have a healthy scratch. Now, with that being said, you paid good money to come to a game that maybe you can't. Thank you, Anthony Edwards. You paid good money to come to a game that you probably can't afford. Like some people might not be able to afford or, whatever. They're trying to come see their favorite player. And yet we're trying to get this game done in an hour and a half. They came to watch somebody play in hopes of, let's use Mike Trout, for example. They came to watch Mike Trout hopefully get 4 at-bats and also play the field and make maybe a great play while they're out there or run around on the base paths. But yet he might not get to because the game was an hour and a half and he only got 2 at-bats because it was a well-pitched game, whatever. Or I don't know how that example's not really going the right way with it. But my point is they came to see the game. The last thing that they're worried about is how long it took. So that's where it frustrates me. You two as fans, me as a fan of all the other sports, I'm obviously a fan of baseball. I want to go to a game. I don't give a flying fuck how long it takes. I'm here for the game. I made my reservation for that game. With no worries of how long it was going to take. I'm there because I'm a fan. I want to be a part of it. I feel like that's how people are when they go to sporting events. They don't care how long it is. The only people that I could say that maybe don't feel that way, maybe, is people that are not going with the intentions of watching and getting into it. Dyer, no, you're good. As well as I do. Terps, we haven't really been to a game together. I don't go to a sporting event to sit and talk. Do we ever, when we go to Browns games, do we sit and talk?
Not unless it's about the game.
Well, yeah. But we're not spending time like sitting there looking at each other like, oh man, what are you going to do this weekend? You think about going out or anything? Like, we're literally in the game unless if there's halftime.
That's what halftime. Exactly. I was going to say halftime. That's what halftime's for.
We're literally cheering and screaming the whole entire time.
Yeah, we're at that last game against the Patriots, the Browns and the Patriots. It was not a very good game. The Browns were playing like shit, and we're still throwing up double middle fingers at the Patriots players when they score and smacking the padding of the back end zone wall when they, when it's third down and there's a big play about to come up. You're in the game. That's what you're there for. You're not there to. It's not a fucking social event.
Thank you.
I
That's
think
all I
that-
needed
think-
right there. You just said exactly what I was looking for.
Here's the thing with baseball.
I'm grabbing my food real quick.
Yeah, here's the thing with baseball, and I'm gonna put the poll up. We're having it for 5 days, and so the question is: does the length of a baseball game matter to you? Tell us why below. Fine, right? I think that's a great way to phrase that. So here are the four choices, and Dyer, I'll get your take on these four choices before I put it live. Then I'll say why I said one of the things in here. Choice 1, it needed to be shortened. Right, that's fair. Choice 2, no, it doesn't matter. Choice 4, other, tell us below. And choice 3, which I think is the important one here, I just want more offense. I'm curious because I wonder if Major League Baseball got results confused between long, boring games and baseball is too long. Because I can see where someone does not like a 3.5 hour baseball game where there's only 2 runs scored.
Sure.
But that same person will love a 3.5 hour game where there's 10 runs scored. So
I guess I'm kind of on the other end of it though. I'd rather, if I'm going to have a long game, I feel like there's more exciting situations in a game where each team has 9 hits, but it's a 2-1 game. Because with that being the case, that there's situations where the pitcher's got a big strikeout or somebody they turned an incredible double play to get out of an inning with the bases loaded, something like that. Whereas, whatever year it was when the balls were all loaded up and every game in the postseason was a double-digit scoring affair and the games were 4 hours long, I turned a lot of those games off. If teams hit home runs every other pitch, home runs cease to become exciting. They're not as much fun to watch because it's nothing new. They're just happening every other at bat.
Let me ask you though something though. Do you think the casual fan thinks that way?
I don't know. That's certainly a valid question.
Because the casual fan, and I'm not, and I'm in the same boat as you. Transparently, I would love to see consistent pitchers in jams getting out of it. The clutch home run when it needs to happen, that kind of thing. I love that side of baseball. I'm with you there. Right, to me that's exciting. But does the average fan want that style of excitement, or do we think the average fan wants to see dingers and wants to see runs scored and bases stolen? That's, I think, what the interesting part of this question is.
If bases are getting stolen, that's an exciting play. I like when teams run. I wish teams would run more. I think the biggest part of that question is the home runs, because that's the other thing. With more home runs comes, generally speaking, lower batting averages, higher strikeout rates. And again, when you see in a team situationally, a big strikeout, very exciting. But when your team's just striking out 15 times a game, that gets fucking boring. So, okay, great. So we get an extra 2 home runs per game, but an extra 6 strikeouts. Is it worth it? Is it that much more exciting to have 2 plays that are exciting against 6 that are boring?
I think the question is less. I'm not talking, unless I misunderstood you. I'm not talking more about a game with 1 or 2 home runs. I'm talking more about like those offensive explosive games that you turn off. That that only one, you know, that you turn off, but I think the casual fan is probably there for. That's why the home run derby is so popular.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and
I
that,
can see that.
and that's I think where the issue comes into play is I think Major League Baseball confused the difference between, and I'll say this because I'm saying this again because Derek just came back, confused the difference between long, boring games and long games with offense. And they took the statistic of, yes, baseball games are when they're too long and boring, I don't like them.
But they're catering to the wrong audience. So if you're catering to your casual fans, you're going to lose the diehard people, and the diehard people are the ones that watch that consume the TV product. The diehard fans are the ones that buy season tickets. Two of the biggest things that the league needs to make money are the people that they're going to lose when they make these changes.
The counter argument I can make to that, and to play devil's advocate, because I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate, the counter argument I can make to that is the same argument you made when it came to soccer, right? Most people don't like watching soccer because it's generally a low scoring affair, or it's just long in the sense of long time between goals. However, if your first soccer game is the World Cup final, which is not a normal soccer game, that is a crazy, finish there, and you're a casual viewer, which one are you more likely to tune into again? If you saw normal game A, which finished 1-0, or the crazy World Cup game at the end?
Fair point. But also I would counter that with you make small changes to try and hook the casual fan. You don't cater specifically to them and make huge changes that change the game for what it is.
I agree with you.
Now,
But
I just want to say, because I liked your example of soccer. I'm somebody who just really started getting into watching it more. And the more I watch it, the more I realize it's not boring. There's action. There's action throughout that entire game because of the ball movement. And that's why, to me, I feel like with you guys, it's easy. I can relate with baseball by saying, yeah, it was a pitcher's duel. There may not have been action, but I guarantee you there was hard hit balls, people there making incredible plays. Yeah, the offense didn't get to put up numbers, but there was there's a reason why. The defense was good. The pitching was good. Everybody likes to watch some nasty shit thrown from a pitcher. If a dude's got a nasty, for example, this is a great one, DeGrom. If him and Verlander go one-on-one, you're going to have a great show. You're going to have a nasty curveball from Verlander. You're going to have an absolute disgusting slider, cutter, whatever he calls it, that video game shit. You're going to see prime pitching. It's just like people back in the day watching Nolan Ryan throw. They wanted to see that. Who cares that you're not giving up 28 runs? You're having a pitcher's duel. You're watching two greats battle it out. Clayton Kershaw comes to town. People are excited to see that. That's why it's the people that are complaining are the people that don't, again, like I said, don't probably really care much for the baseball side of things. They're just like, well, I want to see more offense. I want to see 20 runs. And the moment that you're going to start seeing all these runs, when you start getting high run counts, where games are going to become like 8-12 and whatever else like that, then it's going to be like, well, now we have no pitching. We don't get to see good pitching anymore. Well, no shit. You keep changing so much shit. Stop changing stuff and enjoy what's out there. You're going to have some really good games that are pitcher's duels, and you're also going to have beatdowns where there's a lot of runs scored. I want to see good baseball, whether it's 20 runs or it's a pitcher's duel. I'm there to watch the event because I care about the sport and I care about the teams that are playing, or the team that I want to cheer for is playing. I'm a fan. If my team can pitch, fuck, you better believe I'm excited as shit to go watch some of my guys go out there and just dice them up. Or my guys, got great offense. I can't wait to watch these guys go out and put up the runs. But you can't sit here and try to change the game this way so that you can have one side really better than the other.
I agree. And I fully agree with you. And I'll just tell you quickly the argument I was making before to die because you were away, which was, I think that you kind of touched on the important thing, which is it's the casual fan. And at the end of the day, baseball's trying to grow their fan base. And I think the way that they see themselves growing their fan base is offense. Hence the marketing of Aaron Judge. Hence the marketing of two-way players like Ohtani. Hence the trying to the flashy guys like Jazz and that kind of thing. And you are seeing some pitchers get marketed. You are seeing DeGrom get marketed. You are seeing guys, although I'm curious to know how much he gets marketed now he's out of New York City. Not a shot at the Rangers, just different market.
No, it's not. It's a smaller market. We get it.
Correct. You saw guys like Verlander get marketed, but you also saw guys like, you know, the crazy power lineup of the Houston Astros goes against kind of thing. And that was their marketing ploy. And then they went off with this, let the kids play. And then they started marketing bat flips and all of this. And all their marketing has been offense, 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 offense. And the casual fan says, I want to go see Aaron Judge hit a home run. I don't think the casual fan says, I'm not talking baseball fan, I'm talking casual sports fan difference. I don't know if the casual fan saying, I want to go see Jacob DeGrom go 7 2/3 and give up only 2 hits. And I'm not saying that I agree with that line of thinking because I want to see Jacob DeGrom go 7 2/3 and give up 2 hits. But the average fan with the marketing that they've been doing is going, when's Mike Trout hitting that nuke? When am I seeing Francisco Lindor get home runs on the right and left side of the plate? I want to see Pete Alonso hit one in the third deck. Not I want to see, you know, Trevor May get a whole situation in the 8th inning. So I think that's kind of where the marketing may have played into this. Let me know if you disagree with that. But I can totally see where the marketing people there saw that and goes, hey, our metrics show that people are more tuned into games when there is offense. Kind of thing. Because you're more likely to click in for that.
That's definitely true, but I think there's a big difference between highlighting a part of the game that's already there and changing the game to force it to happen.
I agree 100% with that. I'm just looking at the why did they do that.
Here's something else that stands out that, Dyer, you can probably attest to this more than any of us in here. Attention span. This is where it becomes the bigger issue is us growing up. You know, we were outside, we were doing more activities. I'm sure a lot of, you know, maybe some of the people that are in here or anywhere or people listening, we were outside doing more stuff. Today's generation, or however you want to look at it, is so glued to their phones that the attention span is so short. And I get it. Baseball can be boring. Every sport can be boring. But with that being said, what happens is guys are too caught or can't keep their attention span on something. And that's why we're trying to create so much action and we're trying to reach out to the youth to promote the game and build up the game. But the thing is, we can't even go away from our phones. If you look at people how they are today, I did this yesterday. It was yesterday. I played golf, didn't have my cell phone with me the entire time. I never do that. And it was an accident. It should have been with me. It was an accident. But I went ahead and played without my phone and I was perfectly fine. But the average person can only go 10 minutes at the most without being on their phone. Go put it somewhere and watch. You'll start thinking about it. Man, I want to go get on Instagram. I want to go, maybe somebody's texting me. I want to go look at whatever. We can't do that. And kids are even worse than us right now. When a kid, I've seen this multiple times, when a kid misbehaves, put your iPad in front of them. That'll calm them down. So if we're trying to really fix something, that's where it kind of begins, is we got to fix the attention span of our youth if we're trying to teach them the game. Teach them to go outside and play and do stuff. Now, I'm not trying to tell people how to parent too, so I don't want people to think that, but it's actually true. Like you think about how it was when we were kids. We would go outside and play. We were outside playing pickup baseball or tag or whatever it was. And then obviously when the street lights came on and it was dark, we were back at home and you can go play your video games and stuff then. Fine, by all means. But during the day when it's sunlight and you can be outside, be outside. Less kids are outside actually doing those things. Kids now are trying to do more on their phone or their computer or whatever. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I can't sit here and act like I'm Mr. Perfect and I don't do it. Fuck, I'm always out doing that stuff. I'm playing video games and all that during the day sometimes and whatnot. But I'm also now, like, I'm spending more time outside doing other things, baseball activities, golf, training, whatever it is. I'm outside doing more. And to me, it's helped me out a lot. And I don't feel like my attention span's that bad. Now, granted, I do have probably ADD, so I'm all over the place. But Dyer, I mean, obviously, Terps, I want your opinion on it too. I know you don't have kids, but Dyer, you have kids. Am I wrong when it comes to the attention span of kids, when it comes to any activities or sports or any of that in general?
No, not at all. And I think that's a great point, because if I let my kids, my son would, from the moment he woke up to the moment he went to sleep, he would play his Nintendo Switch. He would do that if I let him. My daughter doesn't play video games, but she would sit on the couch and stare at the TV from sun up to sundown if I let her. So, like, the biggest part of it, the biggest thing that's difficult is getting them to start that activity. Once they start, they're cool with it. Like, there are times where I basically have to pry the Switch out of my son's hands and say, go out and play basketball, go do something. And he'll flip out for a second and then he'll go play basketball for an hour and a half. Like, it's just getting it into that mindset and forgetting about the device or whatever it is, the TV, what have you, is, I think, the biggest hurdle. And a lot of times folks don't want to, not either they don't want to, or it's easier just to say, fine, here's the iPad, here's the game, here's the TV, whatever. I'm working, I'm this, I'm cleaning, I'm that, whatever. It's easier to do that. I've done it before. I've been guilty of that. Hey, I'm busy right now. Go play Switch. I'm busy right now. Go flip your show on, whatever. It happens. It's easy to do, and sometimes it's a necessary evil too. I'm on a meeting. Go. I don't care what you do as long as you don't bust in here and screw up my meeting. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of is what it is, but it's also a difficult thing to train out, because I'm sure there's an element to it, all kinds of elements, but you can watch a podcast or read up on the reward system and how your brain works when you see those likes, or when you play that game that is constructed in such a way to make you not want to stop playing it, because the more you play it, then the more microtransactions you're going to buy and the more money the developer is going to make. So there's a reason why the games and whatever it is are constructed the way they are. It's on us to say, it's time to stop. It's time to put my phone down and go do something else. So I probably went off on kind of a tangent there. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are some sports, and I think some of it comes down to fan engagement, and obviously some places do this better than other places, and then some places don't need to do this. Like the Giants are famous for not having a ton of fan engagement, just because that's how their fans are, whereas there are other parks that have more fan engagement, which could be a direct correlation of just which fans are coming to the games, kind of thing. And then you have some teams that are building up fan engagement, like the Rangers, that were lacking and are getting better at it, because they've realized that it keeps fans enamored with what's going on more. But I think the other interesting thing that I was going to bring this up is I saw a report, and I forgot who I saw, so I can't quote them, and I wish I could. I've been trying to find this entire time. But one of the biggest proponents of the shortened game times, one of the biggest pushers for it, was actually the RSNs themselves, the regional sports networks. Because when games ran over their allotted time, you obviously don't cut the broadcast, right? So for example, like a Mets game on SNY is slotted from 7 p.m. to 9:10 p.m., whatever it is, right? Or 9 p.m. slot that they're paying for. When those games run over and they have other programs lined up or other things lined up, in some cases they do a shortened post game, or in some cases do no post game. they still have to pay for that. The network still has to pay for that slot, even if that slot doesn't get filled with what was supposed to be there. And the longer games were for some networks, not all networks, leading to issues where they're paying consistently for TV spot that they can't now fill because the game went over, kind of thing. And I agree with what we're seeing in the chat, which is just don't give networks the exclusive. I think that's going to change with what's happening with Bally Sports. But the flip side of that is, if you look at sports that are shown on regional networks, so that would be the NBA, baseball, the NHL, MLS. Baseball owns the primetime regional sports network segment. They own it in terms of number one most viewed sport, ad rev, everything like that. In 12 cities, baseball is number one. Atlanta, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, Houston, LA, Milwaukee, New York, Philadelphia, Seattle, St. Louis, Tampa Bay. This is not like number one in terms of like to be debated. This is in terms of viewership per RSN. They own that. The NBA owns the NBA, mind you, only 5 cities: Chicago, Dallas, Miami, Phoenix, San Fran. In terms of numbers watched. The NHL has 4: Boston, Minneapolis, DC, Pittsburgh.
Wait, Dallas, like NBA gets
The
more
Yeah.
viewers?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
has to be false. With the
On
Cowboys?
no, Cowboys aren't considered regional coverage.
Oh, okay.
Regional coverage.
I
Regional.
got you. No, I got
The
I
Cowboys.
didn't-
Yeah. No,
You're
yeah.
good.
Okay. Yeah. Because baseball, NBA, and the NHL are all considered RSN first, national second. So I could see where the RSNs are fighting for this because money is money, or see what's going on with Bally Sports now, with the craziness that's going on there. And another good, they probably make just as much money running a YouTube channel with live games with sponsors and commercials. I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because the YouTube games have had really bad viewership because people don't know where to find them. And there's a lot of people who, if you say, hey, Dyer, the Guardians are going to be on YouTube.
Indians.
Dyer, what's the chances that you're going to boot up YouTube on your TV to watch the Guardians or the Indians versus just being able to click to the channel you always click to?
Probably garbage because I have shitbag internet that wouldn't be able to stream it.
Yeah.
On a live feed. But
think-
no, I don't know. I think I've only got. Well, I guess both my smart TVs do have YouTube apps on them.
Like,
And
if
then
I
my
told-
third TV's got the PlayStation, but I don't know. It would be, I don't know.
Like, Derek, if I told you from now on you could only watch Mav games on YouTube, not YouTube TV, YouTube. You had to go onto YouTube, find the live stream of the Mavs game, and watch it that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. I'm not doing that. I mean, I would have to, but I'd be very upset about it.
Is the
And now-
production quality the same?
It sucked for MLB. No,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
feel
a
like that would
whole
not
different.
be good.
It's a whole different. So what they should have done, which they can't because of RSN, is just rebroadcast the, like the SNY whatever broadcast for the Mets on YouTube. Instead, they have their own crew come in, and it's weird.
Mm.
They have. It's kind of like how the Apple TV thing was. Apple TV did it way better because their stats were really good, their camera quality was really good. All of that was like top tier kind of thing. But the YouTube broadcast version of it was terrible. The way that the only sports league that's done it well is the NFL. That's because they have a split agreement where Thursday night football games are simulcast on Twitch and Amazon Prime. At least they were. I don't know if they still were. They used to be simulcast on Twitch and Amazon Prime and the national coverage. I don't know if they're still doing that. But it's still like it's still a problem for a lot of people. The amount of people I know who got mad because the Mets had an Apple TV Plus game and they didn't know how the fuck to get Apple TV Plus was so high. Because how do you explain to Grandpa Joe that he can't watch Gary, Keith, and Ron on Pix 11 or SNY, which you've pre-programmed into his remote for him, that now he has to hit the home button, scroll over to the Apple icon, wait for that to load, and then hit the other button
Oh,
to get it to
can
play.
Can you imagine trying to explain to an elderly person how to find a game on YouTube?
And then what if they have bad internet? Then all of a sudden, Grandpa Joe's calling Dyer saying, "Why is the game freezing? The circle just came up and it keeps going around. What do I do?" Like,
And realistically, too, like even for me, I know how to troubleshoot that kind of thing. Would I? I'd try maybe one thing, and if it didn't work, I'd find something else to do. Quite honestly, you know, I love watching the games, but I don't love it enough to try and troubleshoot my internet for 30 minutes.
you got more important shit to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up. But yeah, it's that kind of find your sport thing works for things like boxing and the MMA. It doesn't work for things like football, baseball, that things that have consistently been free coverage now behind a paywall or whatever. That's not that it doesn't work as well. It
Sure.
just doesn't. Let's switch topics to we're going to talk a little about UFC in a minute because there's a big UFC fight coming up. But first, let's talk about, speaking of scripts, the script breaking. The Paul has finally lost. He has been defeated. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's probably because you're smart. Jake Paul, who's been going on a boxing journey, of course, ended his undefeated career against Tommy Fury. And in a fight that was kind of boring, kind of exciting, a little weird. There were some moments there that were a little off. One of the judges was completely drunk, convinced of it. And at the end of the day, we find a rather convincing win in terms of scoring for Mr. Tommy Fury in this. And Dyer, I want to get your take on this, and also Derek, your take on this. Our editor Tyler has brought this up a few times, and I think he makes a good point, is that Jake Paul has, many people have said, does have some legitimate boxing skill and has the desire to be a professional boxer. He's not just doing this for money. Obviously, he is doing it for money, but he does actually want to be good at it.
Yeah, he definitely.
And-
Oh,
And the question is, well, then why hasn't he just done more fights like this consistently? And my answer is money. Straight up, you're gonna get more money fighting the other guys. Pay-per-view's gonna be higher. But Dyer, we'll go with you first. Did you end up rewatching the fight? And if you did, what were your thoughts on it?
So I wasn't able to rewatch the entire fight. I was able to find some highlights, some clips, and I've looked at the statistics. You know, based on what I've seen, I totally agree with the decision that Tommy Fury won that fight. Jake Paul was strangely inactive in the fight. It's kind of odd. And I don't know, maybe that it just feels that way because Tommy Fury was so much more active than he was. But it was just a little bit of a head scratcher to me that he threw half the punches in the fight that Tommy Fury did, and coincidentally landed half the punches that he did. It looked to me like he was struggling with Tommy Fury's movement. You know, say what you will, you know, Anderson Silva, still a very good striker. He's 50 years old. Doesn't move like, you know, a younger guy like Tommy Fury does. So, you know, I think that that Paul was kind of trying to feel out the whole time how to hit this guy. He didn't put together combinations very well. He didn't really work in the body, but he also had a hard time getting in because Fury was working his jab very well the whole fight too. So I think Jake Paul again, he does have some skill. He is a green boxer, and if he wants to be a legitimate boxer, he's going to need more fights like this against actual boxers and learn how boxers really move in the ring, because that was the biggest thing that I saw in what I did see was that a lot of swings and misses, and it got to the point where he almost started thinking a little bit too much about what he was going to do next and never really got around to doing it, if that makes sense.
Derek, did you watch the fight, and or if you did, do you have any thoughts on it, or did you, like Dyer, just catch highlights, or did you say, "No, fuck this, I'm not even bothering"?
Well, I was at the Mavs game, so I didn't get to watch. But I was getting constant updates from Dyer in our one group chat, and then obviously with our group chat, he was in there also commentating. I got to see a little bit of it. I felt like he's definitely shown himself pretty well. He's doing pretty good with what he's doing. I don't know how the results really favored. I mean, obviously Fury got knocked down a couple times, so that's where I get caught up in it, is like, did Fury really win? The other thing that kind of blew my mind too is Fury's an actual boxer. Jake,
Very green, but yes.
yeah, but Jake is like, he's been working his ass off. He's done, dude. He has backed up everything he said. I get it. Yes, his knockouts have been against, random people like they are, whatever. And I get that. That's fine. I love that people are complaining about that and everything. And I'm one of those people too, like, hey, just go fight a real boxer. Like, stop doing this. Just go fight a boxer. He fought a boxer. He held his own. The only thing I'm kind of upset with too is stop doing the 8 rounds. Do the normal boxing, 12 rounds, like you should. That's one thing that sticks out to me too. On top of that though, he's been backing up. He's a money guy. He is good at what he does. He's a promoter. He does an outstanding job of that. That's why he gets the money he gets and the fights that he gets, because he does an excellent job of promoting and doing things to get himself out there where he should be. So hats off to Jake Paul for that. I thought he held his own though. By watching the fight, I thought he did a pretty good job. To me, I think even Dyer had said it, I think in the group chat, it was 50-50. It could go either way technically. But me, I felt like maybe Jake Paul definitely got that one. I mean, you got 2 knockdowns. That's where I see it going that way. But yeah, I mean, he's a great promoter. He knows what he's doing.
Dyer, do you think that now that he has gone toe to toe with a boxer who's currently boxing, and one whose career would have taken a little bit of a hit if he had lost, do you think that now that might make the road a little more difficult for Jake Paul, in the sense of, if he fights another true boxer, they're not gonna take him as just I can just kind of toy around and kind of figure this guy out? Or do you think he's actually going to start running into these guys who just aren't going to fuck around anymore?
So I think he's kind of in a little bit of a catch-22 right now, because obviously he's in this, you want to make some big money, right? We talked about it, the names that he's fought leading up to this, and even Tommy Fury, being green as he is, he's got name recognition because of who his brother is. So, that was even selling fights. If he fights any of the guys that Tommy Fury has fought in the past, nobody's buying that pay-per-view. So, that ceases to be lucrative for Jake Paul, and becomes a situation where, how bad do you really want to be a boxer? On the other hand, if he takes, quote, air quotes, a real boxer that anybody knows about, it's going to have to be a huge step up, and he's going to get embarrassed, because he doesn't look bad, but he looks like a boxer that's had, a handful of pro fights. It's just a situation where he's going to have to decide what exactly is he wants to do. Does he still want to put together these circus fights with some name recognition, but not quite as much skill? Or do you want to be a boxer and start where boxers have to start, and that's at the bottom, not making very much money. It's just the nature of the beast. It's like any other sport, but combat sports especially, you got to start at the lowest level when, in a lot of cases, you're losing money.
Yeah, and if he was to fight anyone in what would be his division,
I think this was a catchweight bout. I think they fought at like 180, 185, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Cruiserweight is what they're calling it. But I think you're right. Is if he wants to start fighting boxers along the lines of Tommy Fury, no one's gonna watch the fight unless they have the name recognition. If he wants to fight up, he's gonna fight up. But boxers who are currently boxing aren't going to take a fall.
Right.
Boxers who aren't currently fighting might not care. Money is money, and they might not go as hard as they would if it was a true title fight. So that's where this is going to become interesting to me. Is does he go into the next fight against a real boxer and get embarrassed? And the flip side is, if his next fight is a rematch with Tommy Fury or within a fight or two, how much better has Tommy Fury gotten facing competition that no one wants to watch, whereas Jake Paul might go out and face another celebrity?
Yeah, that's what I think Jake Paul's going to do. I think he tried to call out Nate. No, did he call out Nate Diaz? I forget who he called out. But he and I think you're also going to see a rematch of Fury.
You're going to, and I think that Fury will probably be a much more advanced boxer by the time that rematch comes around.
See, I think, and I agree with you. I definitely think you are absolutely correct on that. I think Jake will do a good job too, though. I'm going to give him credit because he has been continuing to work his ass off and get his name recognition out there too. I think the other big factor is I think that going into the next time, Jake Paul will win because we're going to have a trilogy out of this.
So what do you think happens though? Do you think because I think that it's smart, it would be smart to enact that rematch clause that they have. Say, we'll fight at the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024 and then take a tune-up fight or two in between there against some of those guys that, lower level boxers to get more of a feel what it's actually like to be in a boxing match with somebody that moves like a boxer moves, so that he's more well prepared for it when all eyes are on him again on a pay-per-view bout against Tommy Fury in, let's say, December or January. You know what I mean? Because if then there's a risk to that too. What if you get your ass laid out and then now you've just got knocked out by some dude that's 10-60 and now nobody's buying your pay-per-view. So it's a hard line for him to walk, but I think in order to be more prepared, it might make sense to take a tune-up fight or two in between the fights with Tommy Fury.
I think the interesting question here, and Dyer, I think you'll be more key to answer this, just because you're more involved in this world than Derek and I are. So let's assume that happens. They fight at the end of 2023. Let's assume that Tommy Fury goes out and fights two more or one more sanctioned fight, right? Because he's trying to further his career in boxing and go for a title, right? Is Jake Paul going to be able to match the level of training and experience that Tommy Fury is going to get in a year and a half, maybe 2 years, depending on when this rematch is, by just continuing what he's doing? Or does he kind of have to enter the fray that Tommy Fury's in? So I'll bet you if he faces Fury in a year, and Fury's not going to take a dive if he has a legitimate shot at a WBC belt.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point because, again, that's what Jake Paul has always said, and his camp has said that, in lieu of taking those fights against, those lower level fights, that's where you learn how to box. We're bringing in the best sparring partners and sparring hard and this, that, and the other. That's great, and that's valuable. Sparring is absolutely something that's important when it comes to any combat sport, boxing, MMA, whatever. But there is no substitute for actual action in an actual sanctioned fight. You know, that's like saying, hey, we brought in, you know, this other whatever team and we scrimmaged with them every day. Well, great, but a scrimmage isn't a game. It's not playing in front of 40,000 people in a major league stadium.
It's like pitching a sim game
the
versus
same
pitching.
thing. Right. It helps. It certainly helps, and it's got its place. It's part of training and learning your craft and honing, but it's not the same thing as actual experience. You can't say, well, I went out and sparred for 3 years. Now I'm going to go out and fight for a championship. That's not how it works. You'd never be ready.
My follow-up question for you, Dyer, with this is, let's assume that this fight happens in the next year and a half, 2 years, and Tommy Fury is now on a path where he's 1 or 2 fights away from a WBC title. Obviously, he's gonna make more money doing this Jake Paul fight. He'll make $5, $6, $7 million doing it. But do you think that he was fighting at full 100% the entire fight against Jake Paul? And if he's in a situation now where a loss against someone like Jake Paul, while not officially hurt him, but well, actually it might, because they were issuing points this time around. In a case where it could actually hurt him in a title contention, are we going to see a different Tommy Fury next time around because of that?
That's a great question too. I don't think that we do see a different Tommy Fury. So, other than the fact that he'll likely have improved in some way, because you're right, he's going to have some fights in between here, unless he loses that hunger. You know, he gets his first payday, and
I don't know if his brother will let him do that though.
Yeah, his dad seems like the kind of guy that would give him a bunch of shit for that as well. So, who knows though? You know, stranger things have happened. I mean, shit, even Tyson Fury for a long time, he struggled and he didn't fight for a few years because of personal issues, because he got a bunch of money and, you know, he was into some shit and kind of lost that fire. He never got to the point where he, you know, got into a fight and got beat, but he just didn't get into the ring for a while. So, yeah, I think honestly that this was probably a good confidence boost for Tommy Fury. It was good for him to get the exposure that he did and make a little bit of notoriety for himself. It definitely makes sense for him to make the next fight. I think the bigger question is, how much will Jake Paul improve? Because, you know, if he doesn't do what he needs to do, then we're just going to see what we saw last Sunday, if not a worse beating.
I think the big thing, and I want to move into UFC quickly after this. I think the big thing that this did for Tommy Fury, and he touched on this in his post-fight interview, was that this was his first time experiencing a title, quote unquote, title fight and title fight build-up kind of thing, which is a huge experience to have. You know, and your first time having that kind of experience with that level of media, that level of attention, that level of, you know, press and everything like that, not actually being a true title fight, that's got to be advantageous to him as he goes along his journey. Because, you know, other guys who are fighting at his level with his record don't have that experience, most likely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this was not, you know, a Triller sideshow fight like we saw, you know, with Paul in the past, where he was on top of the bill, and then, you know, there were guys that you haven't heard of, and, you know, some celebrity type fights, if you will. I mean, this was a legitimate sanctioned fight in the WBC. You know, it was promoted by Top Rank. It was on ESPN pay-per-view. This was the real deal. There was an actual championship fight before them in the co-main event. So, you know, this was a big deal, and it was great exposure for not just Paul, but of course for Fury as well.
Let's move on quickly to our last topic, unless we have something else to talk about after this, which is UFC and Mr. Jones's return to said UFC. Dyer, what can you tell us about UFC 285 and the kind of fire card that comes along with it?
I can tell you that I'm wildly excited for it. I mean, Jon Jones hasn't fought in almost exactly 3 years. They've been teasing his return, or he's been teasing his return for a while, dangling that carrot out there and then disappearing into the mist as he likes to do. But coming back at heavyweight is especially interesting. I think that he sees that the heavyweight division is a little bit thin, especially now that Francis Ngannou is gone. There's a lot of old dogs in there, a lot of guys that are kind of one-dimensional, and I think he sees a big opportunity to win the championship. But it's an interesting matchup with this guy Ciryl Gane. He's 11-1. His only loss to Francis Ngannou in a decision loss last year, I think it was. He's a kickboxer, though. He was a very good kickboxer before making the jump to MMA. He's very big and moves very well for a big guy. So Jones is going to have his handful, but I think the biggest thing to look at is going to be if this fight goes to the mat. Jon Jones is actually an excellent wrestler, and if this goes to the mat, he could easily submit Ciryl Gane. Francis Ngannou in their fight is not a very good wrestler, but he was able to hold Gane down. So I'm excited to see what happens on the feet, and then if Jon decides to take it to the ground or not. Because if it stays on the feet, there could be some fireworks. If it goes to the ground, I think Jon wins easy.
Because there's 2 title fights on that card. And then even the undercard's got some names on it that people will recognize if you followed fighting a little bit. What can you tell us about the rest of the card here?
Valentina Shevchenko is one of my favorite fighters. I absolutely love her. She is incredible. She's the flyweight champion. She's defending against Alexa Grasso. I think that's going to be a one-sided fight. Alexa Grasso is a fantastic boxer. She's got some of the best pure boxing in the ladies divisions. Unfortunately for her, that's about all she does. So Valentina's gonna make it more of a kickboxing match in the beginning, and if it goes to the mat, she's got excellent ground and pound too. So I think Valentina Shevchenko probably wins that one relatively easily, probably finishes it. I'd be kind of surprised if that one goes the distance. Some other fights on there to watch. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal should be fun. One big one that I think a lot of people don't know about is Bo Nickel is making his UFC debut.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he was an extremely decorated NCAA wrestler for Penn State, and I think he's only had
He's 3-0.
He's only had three pro fights, but he's finished them all, and all very quickly. I think in those 3 fights, he's got a total of like a minute and a half of octagon time. So
2 minute, 3.5 minutes.
There you go. So he's averaging approximately 1 minute per fight. So that'll be interesting to see.
2.5 minutes. I lied.
There you go.
Good. I'm math good.
So under 1 minute per fight. Obviously your competition at those lower levels isn't always the best, but they're still pro fights. And the one was on the Contender Series, which he finished in, I think it was like 1 minute and 3 seconds, something like that. So the dude's legit. He's the real deal. And we'll get to see that on Saturday as well. Cody Garbrandt
Belt of the prelims.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt's the featured prelim against Trevin Jones. Cody Garbrandt's on a bit of a skid, so if he loses this one, his days in the UFC might be numbered. So he's fighting for his life on that. Derek Brunson and Dricus du Plessis is a big one. I think that's kind of a trap fight for du Plessis, to be honest with you. He's been on a big run, and he's a big up-and-comer in the middleweight division.
I think it's a name fighter, too.
Yeah, Derek Brunson is a problem for a lot of guys because he's a big, strong dude that can put you on the mat and keep you there and just rain hell and hellfire on your face. So that might be one to watch for sure. But yeah, a lot of good ones on there, man. I'm excited for this card, and And there's going to be some bangers.
Wait, a porno?
Oh wow, okay. Derek, any thoughts on what we talked about
No, I'm.
in the last 30 minutes?
I mean, I'd let you guys run that one because clearly I don't know enough about the UFC. Obviously, I talk with Dyer a lot during UFC. We usually go back and forth, just texting with each other during each fight. But I learn a lot from him when it comes to that. I mean, we both went. I took him to I forget which fight it was. It was Derek Lewis.
He fought Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it didn't go very well because I really like Derek Lewis. I like watching him fight, but unfortunately, he was on the decline. But yeah, this fight, I mean, I've liked watching John Jones. He's been very impressive to watch when it comes to fighting. But I like this fight. I think this is gonna be a good one, especially to see him come back out and fight. So this will be great. I did like your analogy on Valentina Shevchenko, however you say her name.
Shevchenko.
Yeah, Shevchenko. She is fun to watch. So I'm excited for that. It is cool. We're gonna have. It's not 2 title shots. That the John Jones fight is not it's not for a belt.
It is. It's the belt's vacant, so neither of them is pictured with the belt.
Oh, actually, Gane has a belt in his picture. But yeah, so I'm excited for the fight. That's for sure. There's not much I can really say. You have way more knowledge of this than I do.
I've never been to a UFC fight. Ever.
It's electric.
And
It's fun.
There's one coming to the Prudential Center here on May
tickets.
6th. The problem is because it's in New York City, it's gonna be New York City Arena technically to be fucking expensive.
No, it's if you can get tickets, get tickets.
I'm gonna try, but like it's going to be expensive out here, just because they don't come out here a lot. They haven't been to the Prudential Center in a very long time, since 2019. And on top of that, they want it's going to be for the bantamweight title fight, is what UFC wants to do, supposedly. So it'll if I can get tickets, I will. I really want to go to one. It's going to be expansive.
Yeah, and that's Henry Cejudo making his comeback too. That's
Yeah.
going to be a big one.
It's gonna be fun though.
And there's a lot of fight fans in the tri-state area, so it's going to be.
Yeah, Aljamain Sterling fights out of a gym in New York or New Jersey, somewhere around there. So
Is Edgar done?
Frankie Edgar?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's done. I think in at least in the UFC.
because he would be the one that they would trot out there. He's from Tom's River,
Yeah,
and he'll sell tickets just by being him. Huge. There's a few people out in New Jersey though.
yeah. I wouldn't be
UFC.
surprised to see him cornering somebody. Maybe.
Yeah, like they'll get him involved in some way, for sure, for absolute sure. Yeah, I'm super excited. This card's gonna be fun. I might end up paying for this card. Not saying that I didn't pay for the Jake Paul fight, because that would be illegal. And pirating movies is a crime too, just like stealing a car. You guys remember those commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Would you steal a car? Downloading music on LimeWire is the same. No. No crime is victimless. When we talk about victimless, let's talk about the artists who are not paying for their song. Talk about victimless. Lose me with that. Missed me with it.
Metallica is pissed still.
Yeah, well. Oh, the one more thing I want to talk about. Forgot about this. One more thing I want to talk about. We'll do it quickly. The XFL. Not great in terms of quality of play. However, you guys seen what they're doing with the officiating?
So what are they doing there?
So the XFL is doing this really cool thing. Dean Blandino is their head of officiating. Of course, very well respected, extremely trustworthy former NFL referee, and now doing a lot of work with a lot of people. So what they do now, and I'll put a link in to both chats so people can watch if they haven't seen this. What they do now is whenever there's a replay or a call, it goes to a live shot of the review process with everybody mic'd up. Meaning Dean Blandino, who is looking over the review, is mic'd up. The referee listening is mic'd up. A whole nine. So you hear everything from start to finish. It works very much like the FIFA VAR system, where they're able to do it within seconds. And a lot of people have said and have come out and said, hey, the XFL quality of play is trash. It's not professional quality yet. It's fun to watch because it's football, but it's like watching college, a little less than college sometimes.
Second rate.
Yes. The officiating and what they've done with officiating, however, they said puts the NFL to shame, because calls that normally, I forget who said it, I forget who did it, but someone did a short little study with a small sample size they had. The time it took to review plays, they took review plays that were the same between the NFL and the XFL was
quick.
Minutes different.
Yeah, it's quick.
The XFL was getting it done in under 30 seconds.
Yes.
And accurately. The NFL was taking 2, 3, 4, in some cases 5 minutes and getting the call wrong. And people are saying, because the NFL is saying it's not possible to do with a national broadcast. It's hard to figure it out. We don't know how we would do it. And the XFL is like, I'm just going to do it like FIFA does it.
Yeah, they've got that.
It works.
I do like it. And I mean, it is like watching minor league baseball is what I would consider it. It's minor league football. But some of the things are pretty cool. I do like the kickoffs. I think that's pretty intense there. I also like the onside kick change.
Yes.
That I like a lot. You're on the other end of the field. It's 4th and 15. You got to get the first down and go from there. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a good idea. I'm not really into the 3-2-1
Yeah, I was about to say
part
same thing.
when it comes to field goal. So that's kind of shitty. There was something else that they did too that I liked. I don't know right now, but I think it's pretty cool. I think what they're doing is definitely pretty cool to have that set up. Games are fast as shit. I will say that. But yeah, I the live play calling, I don't know if I like that, because it's too, I get it, it's for us to see and hear and all that, but I don't like that. Like, you got too much action or too much microphone going on in the plays and the huddle and all that stuff, because there's, like, to me, playing in baseball stuff, there is trash talk that's going on. It doesn't need to be heard for other people. It could be friendly banter too. Like, it could be me and Dyer, facing off with each other, and I'm just talking shit to him. Between me and him, it's us having fun, but somebody else could hear it and take it completely the wrong way and think it's something bad and try to make it into something that doesn't need to be happening. So I'm not a big fan of that.
I think what they needed to do with that is you always have everyone mic'd up, but you don't always play what's mic'd up. So you could go to a situation
So like do
where
after a play.
Well, no, or even just like it is a hard, 3rd and 10 coming up. Let's go into the huddle. And you're just able to push a button and it's there because the feed's already there. Or it's like, it's a 2nd and 18. Let's listen in to the offensive coordinator and see what they're doing. Like one of those like button pushes where you're able to go into it, but you're not always listening in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of like having a mic during a real baseball game. The All-Star game and stuff is fine, but spring training is fine.
Well, I think that's where it comes down to just, what do you choose to broadcast versus what you actually have access to.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me is the review system. The fact they're able to do it that quickly.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Accurate with it. And it's transparent. It's in the sense of, the official saw it this way. That's why it is called this way, as opposed to, was it a catch? Or was he in bounds? Well, we don't know why they called that. And then you go, let's go to our analyst. Why do you think they called it that way? I have no idea. Like, it adds a level of transparency that's very rarely seen. Dyer, what do you think about that?
No, I totally agree, because how many times do you see, Mike Pereira, what do you think? And he'll say one thing, and then the call will go the complete opposite direction. And it's like, What even are they looking at? How did they come to this conclusion? So it makes sense to have it done the way the XFL does. I think the NFL can take out their notepad on that one and take some notes. And then Derek, like you mentioned, the onside kick replacement being that 4th and 15 or whatever it is. I love that because with the new rules for kickoffs and how you can't get that running start, as the kicking team has made it almost impossible to recover onside kicks. I mean, it was already a tough play to convert anyway, and now it's nearly impossible. I think the conversion rate was something like 18% or something like that
I think it was
before,
less than that.
and now it's like 4. it's very little.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like it. I wish the NFL would do something like that. That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think the transparency is what people want from sports. I think that it's going to be a union battle for that because they're going to want to protect their umpires same way as if we wanted umpire refs rather or umpires in baseball is to be the same union battle. Well, do we want to expose them to the same bullshit argument that Derek's brought up time and time again, which is, well, if I fuck up, I got to go stand in front of everyone and talk, kind of thing. But I think the transparency is what everybody wants. And it holds them accountable. You can't just give a makeup call because we've heard how many times have we heard hot mics in the NHL? Because we're I got to give that one to them, and then that trouble comes out. But that came out because they're mic'd up, kind of thing. So, how much of that happens in the NFL that would then get exposed, which would in turn cut down on it? Same thing with MLB. Same thing with the NBA, kind of thing. So I like it. I think it's a good thing. But yeah, I think. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
No, it's just it's gonna be a big week of sports. You know, spring training's getting going big time, and got big fights this weekend. More, XFL, and we're getting closer to the playoffs for the NBA. Getting closer to the playoffs for the hockey, which that's gonna be fun. I think that's we got to try to do something for the playoffs of each sport.
And don't forget the most wonderful time of the year, March Madness, is literally right around the corner.
In the next month and a half in the
That's
UFC is so nuts.
Yeah, that's true too.
We're in a crazy sports period right now.
It's good.
We're in the crazy sports period. We will be doing a show next week. We will not be doing a show 2 weeks from now. Because I will be in Florida for the World Baseball Classic.
Florida.
Our editor is going to be in Dallas for work, so it just makes life very difficult. And also, I'm going to be at games, so it's kind of hard to, but we will be here next week for sure. Talk about a bunch of stuff, which will be a lot of fun. We're going to do our baseball draft soon. We've talked about that. We're going to get that going before the start of the season. And we're also going to get a Around the Horn episode scheduled as well. And kind of figure out and game plan for that, which will be a lot of fun. Do we want to do a bracket for March Madness?
I haven't really gotten into it. Michigan sucks this year. I haven't really paid attention.
Yeah. Oh, Dyer, by the way, fuck Ohio State today. Just saying. Big Ten refs. Big Ten fucking refs.
I mean, didn't Michigan still beat Ohio State? So I don't know what he's laughing about.
Well, because Ohio State just beat Maryland today off some really weird calls. But I'm just convinced that Big Ten refs are just told to ref nice for the home team because it seems, if you look at every Big Ten team, the foul disparity between home and away is crazy. It's insane. The foul discrepancy.
I mean, there's not much I can say. Michigan basketball sucks right now.
Yeah, well, listen, you got to be bad at something.
It's true.
I heard your hockey team got bounced too. Notre Dame with the upset.
Woo!
Yeah. That I didn't
Give,
know.
give Notre Dame a woo.
No. Okay. You were really close to getting a woo. Because I was about to tell Terps you deserved one after your UFC presentation. Thought it was fantastic. You did a great job talking about the fights and the Jake Paul fight. But then you came along and did something stupid and just ruined it like I knew you were going to do. You had everything set in stone, and what did you do? You fumbled the fucking bag. Yep, there it is. Well, we're all dead. We're all dead. Thanks, Dyer.
But was it worth it, Dyer?
It was so worth it.
Fuck Ohio State.
I'm gonna give myself an honorary woo. Actually,
No, you're not.
Hold.
It doesn't count.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah. Does
Let the
nothing.
editor decide. Anywho, that's gonna do it for us here at Off the Fairway. For myself, Dyer, and Derek. Thanks for listening in. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or Stitcher, feel free to give us a comment, a liking, and anything else you have to do on those sites. It helps us out a ton. Be sure to tune in next week. And like I said, we'll have more information next week about our game plan going forward, and everything like that. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Be good. Be safe. See ya.
And for the record, Dyer didn't get a woo. Okay, bye. Bye.
Or Dyer.
I'll accept